You're watching Major League Baseball's virtual network. I'm Nicholas Callis. These are your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Wednesday, May the 13th, 2020. The Cleveland Indians lost to the Baltimore Orioles. Final score of this game was 4-1. Cole Stewart got the win, Shane Bieber got the loss, and Michael Givens now has 15 saves on the season. The New York Yankees lost to the Tampa Bay Rays. Final score of this game was 4-1. The Yankees got the first run of the game in the first inning, but then the Rays put up 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th, tacked on an extra in the 8th, and carried this ball game away. Diego Castillo got the win, Jay Happ got the loss, and Nick Anderson now has 14 saves on the season. AL Central Baseball here. The Minnesota Twins played the Detroit Tigers, and this game took 11 innings to complete. The Tigers made a comeback, chipped away, scored a run in the 6th, a run in the 7th, and a run in the 8th to tie the game at 3. But then in the 11th, the Twins took the lead on a home run and ended up winning. Corey Guerin got the win, David McKay got the loss, and Taylor Rogers has 12 saves now with the Twins this season. The Toronto Blue Jays played the Texas Rangers. 7-5 was the final, and the Blue Jays won it. The Rangers scored 2 runs in the bottom of the first inning, scored first. Then the Blue Jays put up 4 in the top of the second inning, and some 1s and 2s were put up later on in the game, but the Blue Jays came out with 2 more runs than the Rangers and won this one. Pannone got the win, Montero got the loss. Ken Giles now 7 saves on the season with the Blue Jays. AL West Baseball here. The Oakland Athletics played the Seattle Mariners. Final score of this game was 10-2 in favor of the A's, who still lead the American League West. Paul Blackburn got the win, and Jeffrey Ramirez got the loss. The Athletics 10 runs on 14 hits. The Mariners 2 runs on 7 hits. Interleague baseball between the Washington Nationals and the Los Angeles Angels. Final score of this game was 5-4. The Angels ended up winning it. The Angels got a run in the first, put up 4 in the bottom of the 4th inning. The Nats could only score in the 3rd and 8th innings. And they got 2 runs in each of those innings, but could not win it, despite getting more hits than the Angels as well. Andrew Heaney got the win, Max Scherzer got the loss, and Hansel Robles now at 13 saves on the season. The Royals and Astros played each other. Final tally of this one, Astros 4, Royals 3. Josh James got the win, Mike Montgomery got the loss, and Roberto Osuna now has 15 saves on the season. The Boston Red Sox and Atlanta Braves played each other in this interleague matchup, and the Braves won by a final score of 3-2. The Braves got their 2 runs in the first and second innings. The Red Sox tied it up with a 2-run top of the 4th, but then the Braves took the lead late in the bottom of the 8th inning and won it after getting a save from Will Smith in the 9th. Grant Dayton got the win out of the bullpen, and Darwinson Hernandez got the loss. He's now 0-4 on the season. The Dodgers and Phillies played each other, and the Phillies won by a score of 6-4. Sir Anthony Dominguez got the win, Jimmy Nelson got the loss, and Hector Neris now 12 saves on the season. NL Central Baseball in this one, the St. Louis Cardinals beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. Final score of this game, 2-1. Adam Wainwright got the win, Joe Musgrove got the loss, and Giovanni Gallegos coming up now on the league lead in saves. He has 17. The Marlins and Reds played each other. Final score of this game was 10-3. The Reds lost. The Marlins were the ones with several hits and double-digit runs. The Marlins scored 10 runs on 15 hits. The Reds 3 runs on 9 hits. Jose Urena got the win, and Trevor Bauer got his first losing decision of the season. The Milwaukee Brewers played the Chicago Cubs. Final score of this game was 8-3. Brewers won. Freddie Peralta got the win, and Jose Quintana got the loss. The Mets and Diamondbacks played each other. Final score of this game was 10-6. The Mets won it. The Mets got 3 runs in the top of the 9th inning to get some insurance, and the Diamondbacks didn't put up a fight in the bottom of the 9th, scored no runs. Paul Sewald got the win, Merrill Kelly got the loss, Edwin Diaz now with 11 saves on the season. NL West Baseball here, and the San Francisco Giants continue to be on a losing streak. They lost to the Rockies. Final score of this game, 11-4. Rockies won it after putting up 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th and 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th. The Giants were putting together some innings. They got runs in the first and second inning, also scored first, and put up 2 runs in the top of the 7th, but wasn't enough to overcome such a large deficit. The Rockies, 11 runs on 19 hits. The Giants, 4 runs on 10 hits. Jumbo Diaz got the win, and Danny Jimenez got the loss. It's important to point out, too, with the Rockies winning this, the Rockies are no longer in last place in the NL West. You'll see that when we get to the standings section of this video. The Chicago White Sox beat the San Diego Padres. Final score of this game, 11-6. The Padres continue to be on a losing streak. This game featured a lot of offense. The Padres scored 6 runs on 12 hits. The White Sox won getting just 11 hits, but scored 11 runs on those 11 hits. Reynaldo Lopez got the win, and Dinelson Lamet got the loss. Taking a look at standings now, starting in the American League East, the New York Yankees, 25-18, they lead this division. The Orioles 1 game back now after the Yankees lost to the Rays today. The Orioles in second place with a 24-19 record. The Rays are 24-21, they beat the Yankees today. They're 2 games back of the division. The Blue Jays are 20-23, they're 5 games back, and the Red Sox have lost 2 in a row. They're 19-25, 6.5 games back of the Yankees. In the AL Central, the Chicago White Sox make it the first to 30 wins in this division. They still lead the division as well. They're on an 8-game winning streak. They've won 9 of their last 10. The Minnesota Twins, 3 games back of the White Sox. They're 27-16, 3 games back. The Cleveland Indians are 25-21, 6.5 games back. The Detroit Tigers are 15-28. They're 15 games back of the division. And the Kansas City Royals, 12-31, 18 games back of the White Sox and of the AL Central lead. In the American League West, the Oakland Athletics still lead this division. 27-17 is their record. They're on a 6-game winning streak. They've won 8 of their last 10. The Houston Astros won today. They're 25-19. They're 2 games back of the division, and they won 7 of their last 10 games. The Los Angeles Angels are 19-23. They're 7 games back of the division. The Texas Rangers are 18-25, 8.5 games back of the division. And the Seattle Mariners have lost 7 in a row. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games, and they're 10.5 games back of the division. In the National League East, the Washington Nationals are 26-16. They lead this division. The Phillies are riding a hot streak. They're 2 games back of the Nationals. The Phillies 24-18. The Braves and the Marlins are tied for 3rd place in this division with 23-21 records. They're each 4 games back of the division lead. The Braves are on a 5-game winning streak. They've won 7 of their last 10. The Marlins went on a slide. They were leading the NL East back in April, but now they're tied for 3rd place and have struggled recently. And the Mets, 18-25, 8.5 games back of the division. They've won 5 of their last 10 games. In the National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals still at a deadlock for first place. Both these teams won today, and they're both 23-21. Again, still leading this division. The Cubs are 21-23. They're 2 games back of the division on a 2-game losing streak. The Cincinnati Reds are 19-24 after losing today. They're 3.5 games back of the division. And the Pittsburgh Pirates have lost 8 of their last 10 games. They're 15-27, and they're 7 games back of the division lead. And in the National League West, the Los Angeles Dodgers are on a losing streak now. They've lost 2 in a row, but they've won 6 of their last 10 games. They're still in first place in this division. 27-14 is their record. The Arizona Diamondbacks are tied for second place now with the San Diego Padres. Each of these teams are 23-20. The Diamondbacks went on a bit of a hot streak. They've won 8 of their last 10 games. The Padres, however, not quite as much success. The Padres are on a 9-game losing streak, and that's why they're tied for second now. They let the Diamondbacks catch up to them. And the Padres also let the Dodgers take the NL West lead. The Padres were leading the NL West for the majority of April, but went on a slide, and now here they are. The Colorado Rockies have won 3 in a row. They're 5-5 over their last 10 games. 17-25 is their record. They're 10.5 games back. No longer at the basement of this division, because the San Francisco Giants have gone on a major slide. The Giants were in 3rd place around the middle of April, toward the end of April, and they just decided to go on a 12-game losing streak. Now, that's being sarcastic, but right now they are on a 12-game losing streak. They're 17-26. They're 11 games back of the division, and now they're in last place. The Rockies, who have gained some momentum now with winning games after an abysmal April, now move beyond last place, and they're in 4th right now in the NL West, still, though, 10.5 games back of the Dodgers. And taking a look at league leaders now, starting with batting average leaders in the American League. Miguel Cabrera, 380 batting average. He leads the American League. Chris Davis, 1 point behind him with a 379 average. And Michael Brantley rounds out the top 3 with a 371 batting average. In the National League, David Dahl, 367 average. leads the league. Andrew McCutchen behind him with a .350 batting average, and Ronald Acuna Jr. and Corey Seager, third and fourth place in this league. They each have some variation of a .348 batting average. Hits leaders in the American League: Jose Abreu, 65 hits, trailed by 1 to Chris Davis, who has 64. And then you have Miguel Andujar and Miguel Cabrera tied for third best with 63. In the National League, Jonathan Villar, the only player in this league with over 60 hits. He has 62. The next best are Ronald Acuna Jr. and Paul Goldschmidt. They each have 54 hits. At bat leaders in the American League: Jose Abreu with 183. That leads the American League. Jonathan Villar leads the National League with the same amount, 183 at bats. Doubles leaders in the American League: Miguel Andujar has 18. Marcus Semien has 17. And Jose Iglesias and Anthony Rendon tied for third best with 16. In the National League, Jonathan Villar has 20 doubles. That leads the National League. That also leads all of baseball. Trey Turner second best with 17, and Christian Yelich third best in the league with 16. Triples leaders in the American League: Jose Altuve has 5 triples. That still leads this league. Oscar Mercado, Whit Merrifield, and Adalberto Mondesi each are tied for second best with 3 triples this season. In the National League, Chris Bryant, Jonathan Villar each tied for the league best with 5. Andrew McCutchen and Trey Turner third best with 4. Home run leaders in the American League: Chris Davis has 18. That still leads the American League. Josh Donaldson still second best with 17, and Matt Olson still third best with 15. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. has 16, Max Muncy second best with 14, and Paul Goldschmidt rounds out the top 3 with 13. RBI leaders in the American League: Lourdes Gurriel Jr. still has the lead. He's at 45 RBIs, trailed by 3 to Austin Meadows, who has 42, and Chris Davis, the only other American League player with 40 or more. He's at 40, good for third best. In the National League, Paul Goldschmidt leads it with 39. Christian Yelich 6 behind him, second best with 33, and Cody Bellinger rounds out the top 3. He has 32. Runs scored leaders in the American League, and the lead belongs to 2 White Sox: Jose Abreu and Yoan Moncada, each tied with 36. And then Rafael Devers and Chris Davis tied for third best with 34. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr. leads in the runs scored category. He has 37. Trey Turner, 36, good for second best, and Paul Goldschmidt and Christian Yelich tied for third best with 32. Stolen base leaders in the American League: D. Gordon, Mike Trout, Adalberto Mondesi all have 9, and they are all the leaders in the American League. The National League sees Starling Marte at 20. The American League doesn't even have double digits yet for their leaders, but Starling Marte's reached 20. That's good for the league best. Trey Turner, second best, 8 behind Starling Marte with 12, and Ronald Acuna Jr. rounds out the top 3. He has 11 stolen bases. The only other players with double-digit stolen bases are Jonathan Villar and Tim LeCastro. They're each tied for fourth best with 10. Walks leaders in the American League: Alex Bregman, 29. That leads the American League. In the National League, Rhys Hoskins, the only player over 30 walks. He's at 33 bases on balls this season. On-base percentage leaders in the American League: Mike Trout, 451 on-base percentage. That leads the American League. Chris Davis, second best with a 444 on-base percentage. And Miguel Cabrera and Michael Brantley, third and fourth best in this league. They have some variation of 443 on-base percentage. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr., 446. That leads the league. Andrew McCutchen, next best with a 431 on-base percentage. And Christian Yelich, third best with a 426. Slugging percentage leaders in the American League: Chris Davis, 769. That leads the American League. Mike Trout, second best with a 724. That's raised a little bit from yesterday. And Josh Donaldson, third best with a 680 slugging percentage. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr., 748. That leads the NL. Christian Yelich, the only other player in the National League over a 700 slugging percentage. He's at a 713. And Corey Seager, close to 700. He's at 695. Good for third best in the NL. On-base percentage plus slugging percentage leaders in the American League: Chris Davis, 1.214, leads the AL. Mike Trout, second best, and Michael Brantley, third best. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr., 1.194, leads the National League in OPS. Christian Yelich, second best. Corey Seager, third best. American League leaders in wins. This is among pitchers: Asher Wojciechowski and Lucas Giolito tied for the league best. They have 6. And there's a large amount of pitchers in the American League with 5 wins and 4 wins. You see them all there on your screen. In the National League, Walker Buehler leads the NL with 6. Madison Bumgarner has 5, as does Jack Flaherty, Robbie Ray, Aaron Nola, Dinelson Lamet, Pablo Lopez, Jimmy Nelson, and Trevor Bauer. They're all tied for second best, in the league. Losses leaders in the American League: Dylan Bundy, Asher Wojciechowski, Mike Minor, Reynaldo Lopez, and Kenta Maeda all still have 0 losses this season. In the National League, well, they lost one. Trevor Bauer lost his game today, so now it's down to 2 in this league. Walker Buehler and Carlos Martinez still undefeated on the mound this season. Saves leaders in the American League: Brad Hand has 18 saves. That's still baseball's best. But because the Indians have been losing to the Orioles recently, he hasn't been in any save opportunities. Liam Hendriks, second best with 16, and Michael Givens and Roberto Ozuna tied for third best with 15. In the National League, Giovanni Gallegos, one behind Brad Hand. He has 17 saves. That's good for the league lead. Sean Doolittle, second best with 15. Will Smith, Josh Hader, and Kenley Jansen tied for third best with 14. Earned run average leaders in the American League: Zach Plesac still tops this category with a 1.82 earned run average. Nobody else in the American League has an ERA under 2. In the National League, Walker Buehler, Mike Soroka, and Caleb Smith make up the top 3, and they're the 3 pitchers in the National League with an ERA under 2. Home runs allowed among American League pitchers: Gio Gonzalez leads this category all by himself. He's given up just 2 home runs this season. In the National League, Garrett Richards, the only other pitcher in all of baseball who can say that he's allowed just 2 home runs so far this season. Shutout leaders in the American League: Garrett Cole, Masahiro Tanaka tied for the league best with 2. Everybody else at 1. You see they're on your list. In the National League, shorter list: Walker Buehler and Zach Wheeler are tied for the league best. They've each thrown 2 shutouts this season, and the rest of the pitchers you see there have thrown 1 shutout. Strikeout leaders in the American League: Garrett Cole, 73 strikeouts. Lucas Giolito, second best with 70. Jake Odorizzi rounds out the top 3 with 67. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw has reached 77 strikeouts. He's trailed by 6 to Chris Archer, who has 71, and Steven Strasburg rounds out the top 3 with 69. Complete games thrown among American League pitchers: Garrett Cole and Masahiro Tanaka have each thrown 2 complete games. In the National League, Zach Wheeler has thrown 3 complete games. That leads all of baseball. Walker Buehler behind him with 2 complete games thrown this season. Innings pitched leaders in the American League: Shane Bieber, 66 1/3 innings pitched. He's trailed by a significant amount to Hyunjin Ryu, who has 60 2/3 innings pitched. And Ryu is trailed by 1/3 of an inning to Garrett Cole, who has 60 1/3 innings tallied so far this season. In the National League, Clayton Kershaw, 62 2/3 innings pitched, is the league lead now. Johnny Cueto back in second place, and he has some company. Tied for second best with Cueto is Zach Wheeler. They each have 59 2/3 innings pitched. Walks allowed leaders in the American League: Ivan Nova and Carlos Carrasco each had 7. That's good for the American League best. In the National League, Alex Wood has 9 walks allowed, and he's the only player in the National League who is left in single digits for walks allowed this season. Whip leaders in the American League: Zach Plesac, the only pitcher with a whip under 1 in the American League. In the National League, Walker Buehler and Mike Soroka, the last 2 pitchers in the NL with a whip under 1 as of right now. Soroka's at a .99. He's close to 1. Walker Buehler at a .95. Pitching WAR leaders in the American League: Shane Bieber, 1.6. That leads the AL. Carlos Carrasco at a 1.5. Charlie Morton at a 1.4, as is Garrett Cole. They make up the top 4 in the American League. In the National League, Chris Archer at a 1.9. That leads the NL. Jacob deGrom, 1.7. Second best. Yu Darvish, third best with 1.6. And batting WAR leaders in the American League: Mike Trout, 3.3 is his WAR. That's good for the league best. Chris Davis behind him with a 2.9. Alex Bregman and Marcus Semien have some variation of 2.8. They all make up the top 4. In the National League, Ronald Acuna Jr., 3.6. That leads the NL. That leads all of baseball. Christian Yelich, 3.1. Good for second best. Jonathan Villar rounds out the top 3 with a 2.8 WAR. These have been your game recaps, standing updates, and league leaders from Wednesday, May the 13th, 2020. I'm Nicholas Callis. You've been watching Major League Baseball's Virtual Network.